Good morning and welcome to the AutoTalk Weekly Wrap. I'm Rich Edwards. My hair looks awful. I am back from outer space. I'm in China. It has been quite a big week a week or so for me. Obviously, we went on a great trip with Motor JQ New Zealand. Thanks to Sheldon, Serene, and the team for looking after me over there. Saw some pretty crazy things, it was quite the eye-opener, that trip. If you haven't already got a Chinese franchise, you kind of need one. Don't care what it is, but I think you kind of need one because there is so much coming. They are moving at such a rapid pace. They've got some huge advantages, modern plants, all this kind of stuff. I just think if you're not already in that game, then you should start potentially looking at it. Yes.
Get that feeling. Everyone's talking about the same thing too, Richard. You're not alone. And there'll be the old guard, so to speak, that'll be poo-pooing the entire Chinese industry. And that's always the case too. I think it's the same with the Korean entry into the marketplace. They'll never actually succeed. Japanese entry into the marketplace. But I get that sense that there's a revolution quietly occurring within our new car marketplace. It's a quiet one. It's a little bit under the radar, but it's a revolution nonetheless. And the only question really is whether the consumers will lead the way with their checkbooks or now the FPOS cards or the direct debits ahead of these impending and ongoing launches, because people still have to buy the stuff that comes in, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that the Chinese cars are perfect or anything like that, but if you've ever heard anyone in the industry say, man, I wish I picked up a Hyundai franchise when they were pretty much giving them away in 2002 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is that. It's just something you really need to keep an eye on.
We looked at Kia. We actually had people from Kia. I don't know if you say sort of people from Kia. I think it was like one person at that stage back in, I don't know what year it was, 99 or something like that, saying, would you guys be interested in putting up a sign on the front of your building and slotting a few of these things? We looked at them and went, we really like our Primeras, thanks very much, But try the guys down the road. Said famous last words ever. So, oh well,
Yeah.
I'm sure
that's the way, though, isn't it? You've got to take the opportunities when you can. And if it's not for you at the time, so be it. You can't really think about it too much. But
no,
prejudice of what you may or may not think something is get in the way. And look, the Chinese haven't had that. They had some false starts, including Chery, who we were traveling across there with a Motor JQ as part of the Chery group. But by golly, have they learned from them? We went and looked at a production line which is relatively high levels of roboticization by modern standards, but low by what they've got coming. And anyone who's in vehicle production knows the higher percentage of robots you've got, the better quality your cars ultimately will be, because humans make mistakes. Even in the most modern factories, the thump to get a dashboard in place is still a measured tool. But once you get to robots and you've got everything kind of at a 100% perfection-y kind of thing, then makes a big difference. I can hear myself there, Graham. Are you definitely listening through your headphones?
I can hear you through my headphones just fine, thank you.
Interesting. Okay.
Well,
I'm going to edit your back. You got reduced Mac background noise.
There's nothing else going on out here. We had a checkpoint outside here a couple of days ago. It was a bit noisy, but apart from that, no, it's a reasonably quiet environment today. No one's thumping up and down the corridors. Well, they are, but can't necessarily hear that.
I'm just so we don't annoy people too much. I'm just gonna tweak my settings.
But we don't annoy them already when they listen to this show.
Yeah. Look, I've put background noise cancellation on, so my apologies if you
We haven't got David Crawford and his builders next door.
Is there definitely noise? How is it quite noisy there? I'm hearing a lot of noise.
Okay, I don't know. I've never muted me altogether. It's no noisier than any other time.
Okay, we'll just go with it.
This is a working dealership. Of course it's noisy. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to work it out. Anyway, we'll go with it. I can hear myself and it's off-putting. I'm going to mute myself for a second.
Oh, that sounds better, Richard. Now we can't hear you at all.
Weird. Oh, well.
Okay, folks, don't worry. Richard's having a technical moment here all by himself.
Yeah, I'm echoing. I might switch my microphone out. Hang on a second. Let's try this.
I have a feeling it's only Richard can hear himself on that one. Everyone else, I'm listening to the show right now, and it sounds just fine. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Meantime, chat amongst yourselves. Let's face it, we're looking to having a better day right now than Julianne Genter is at the moment. That bastion of the transport industry.
How am I sounding now?
Oh, terrible. Go back to what you were before. That's awful.
Okay.
Go back to what you had at the start. It was just fine. I think the issue is you listening to yourself rather than what the rest of the general population of New Zealand can hear.
Yes, quite possibly.
And that's bad too.
Should be better now.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah. Let's go back to talking about the industry, shall we? Half our audience has probably gone off to go and get coffee by now.
Let's do that. Okay, anyway, so we were over there with Cherry and Motor Jaku, over with a group of dealers. It was great. Look, it was a massive brand event. There were 3,000 dealers and media there. Included a giant concert where several beverages were drunk, factory tours, big discussion things. Had a look at some products, which we'll touch on one of those little products soon. They have some just super cool, exciting stuff coming. China itself, I've got to admit, I wasn't a fan of Beijing, but once we got to Wuhan, so I guess what you call a second-tier city in China, they're quite honest about, how they tier their cities. Still, just short of 4 million people in this city. Beautiful, lush, green, great shopping, great food. Just the loveliest people. It is amazing, and it does remind me a lot of Japan, perhaps a little more disorganized, but also just so willing to do stuff quickly and do it at a great rate. So we'll no doubt have lots more coverage about that in the next AutoTalk that is coming out, and probably some more video coming as well, both here and on EVs and beyond. Right, let's get on with the news, and we will start off and get out of the way. Probably the story we'll pay some respect to for the week before we get into the sillier stuff, and that is the industry farewelling Sir Colin Giltrap at a family service. So Sir Colin Giltrap obviously passed away at 84 years old. We've covered this in the last episode, or the episode before. His funeral was held on May 1 so Tuesday this week at the Holy Trinity Cathedral in Parnell. It was pretty much at capacity. Dealers and distributors from Australia and New Zealand flew in for the service, including people like Neville Crichton and a few others from around the place. And it was live streamed to staff and friends who could not attend. Sir Colin was described as a shy and gentle man, but a risk taker with a sharp mind for numbers, who was passionate about motorsport, the latest car technology, yachting, and watching New Zealand sports people succeed internationally. He was passionate about people, especially his staff of more than 1,000, and he knew them all by name and often their children's names. Sir Colin was a true car man and made an immense contribution to the automotive scene since 1966, as well as motorsport and philanthropy. I can never say that word, culminating in a knighthood in 2012. Harriet Giltrap, Sir Colin's youngest granddaughter, led stories of remembrance with the reading of Do Not Weep for Me. His eulogy was given by his long-standing lawyer, Michael Reed, QC. Neville Crichton also, he last work beside Neville Crichton. Obviously a really big event. Pallbearers were Richard and Michael, Marco Giltrap, Mark Ching, Neville Crichton, Trevor Mitchell, Ernie Miller, and David Mills. So some real icons of the industry there as well. Such a massive event. I think we're going to see some repercussions to come over the next few months as things settle down and the Giltrap Group perhaps resettles for its long-term future with the absence of its founder. So it will be interesting to see, what happens there, really. So unfortunately, I couldn't attend. I was overseas, but again, our best to the Giltrap family. And I think we had one of our staff, Robert Barry, there, so we'll no doubt have some more coverage from that in the magazine as well. Yeah. You had any experiences with Sir Colin, Graham?
No, I mean, we covered this off before too, only that somebody else has said to me, the little comment you made before, I was reading it actually online before, somebody else has said to me that he actually knew everyone that worked in that place and knew their name and knew a bit about them, which I think for an operation the size of the Giltrap Group was absolutely extraordinary. And it made me also think too, we tend to focus on the business achievements of people when we're providing our eulogy notes, I suppose, but we also forget that Sir Colin was also a father and a grandfather and clearly a man of many, many, many talents outside of the motor industry itself. And his personal touch in terms of his staff and those sort of things, they're the things that can set aside some very great people from the mediocre, is how they treat the people around them and how they're respected by the people around them. And we should bear that in mind. And I think to an extent we're losing the art, I think, within our own industry to an extent. I think we've seen, I'm going to be a bit harsh here and say I think we might have seen the best of days in some respects for legends of the industry and the empires that they build. And it's a sad day indeed to see people of Sir Colin's industry stature depart us, because that's a legacy that will not be repeated.
Yes. Are you suggesting we will not be seeing, not be considering like the likes of David Senna and Eugene Williams and so forth as legends in the future?
Well, we might be talking about them on the show for a few more years, Richard. given the past couple of years, what are the odds? So, sorry, David. Sorry, Eugene. But we report the news. We don't make the news. We report the news. Don't forget. Right.
Anyway, look, let's move on to us doing more than reporting the news, which is appearing in front of a crowd to discuss the industry and assist in fantastic professional development. And that is that we have the final schedule released for AutoTalk Live. Now, this is on Tuesday. We have all the final details. We had a few last-minute choppy, changey things, as you sometimes do when these events go on. But we now have it. So BYD Auto New Zealand brand manager Warren Wilmot has been added to the schedule, replacing Twin New Zealand Chief Executive Neeraj Lala. He has to, unfortunately, head up to Japan, but hopefully we'll get him back for a future one. And legendary automotive consultant Stephen Timperley replacing his former colleagues from Deloitte's. The latest speakers confirmed for AutoTalk Live. We're holding the event next Tuesday at Brad's Warehouse. Yes, it is named after the famous actor Brad, whatever his name is. Anyway, Fight Club guy.
Pitt, I would assume.
Brad Pitt, yes, at Durham Lane, Auckland City, a venue previously visited by the Rolling Stones, Elton John, Santana, and Led Zeppelin. I'll be leading the event with Graham, no doubt, acting as my roving hitman. We have some great speakers. So I'm going to run through the schedule now just to... sorry, I'm going to refresh this page because it's just been popped into there. So we are starting out with the opening by this young chap up here. Young chap. Can I still call myself a young chap? I don't think I'm really the young guy anymore, am I?
No, you're skating on thin ice there. If you were a Tinder profile, you'd be getting a bit sketchy calling yourself a young chap now.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm opening. Then we're going to have a video introduction from Simeon Brown, the Minister of Transport. Then we will have the Deloitte industry benchmarks and some further discussion covered by Stephen Timperley. Daniel Morris of Deloitte sends his apologies. They've had some change in the business there, and they just need to stay close to home in Sydney briefly. We then have Anthony McLean. Now, Anthony McLean, fantastic, again, industry expert, industry consultant, ex-head of MG New Zealand and a few other brands around the place. He got to do the final session last year, the poor chap, because I think everyone was ready for a beer. This year, he gets to go right up front with the New Zealand automotive industry in 2030. Now, I gather he has done a lot of research for that, a lot of discussions, and it's looking pretty good. Then we have morning tea, because of course we feed and coffee you on this. And Graham, barista coffee all day.
Nice. Well played. Yeah. Thank you.
So then we have consumer trends in building trust with Emily Turnbull from Trade Me Classifieds. We have a look at a discussion with Natasha Callister from Women in Automotive about the Women in Automotive Accord. A great one to listen to. We have Phil Haynes, well-known, again, industry consultant, who's going to do a bit of a clean car standard update. Obviously, that's a bit of a moving feast at the moment. What is the government doing with that? What can you do to kind of make things most efficient? So we'll have that. We then go to lunch. Excellent lunch options on hand for that. Then in the afternoon, I am going to... Oh, sorry, in the morning, I missed this. Sorry, apologies. Interview Todd Hunter from Turner's. He is... interesting guy, and we have a lot to cover off there. Then I'll be interviewing Warren Wilmot, then Nick Tuffley, the ASB Bank chief economist, will be coming in to give an economic update. Then Amos Banbury from Better Finance, he'll be talking about AI in the dealership, and then we extend further on AI. AI is obviously a massive topic with Michael Clark from Impel AI. Then we have afternoon tea with more barista coffee to keep you awake. And then we have Henry Sinclair from AutoGrab. He's going to talk about unlocking time, how data transforms automotive used car sales. Then we switch over to Mark Green from Motor Central on making the cut. And then turning carbon into cash with David Boot from the Carbon Trading Company. I'm then going to quickly wrap things up so that we can all head downstairs into the basement. Yes, the basement, which literally has a well. The original well covered in glass. Pretty cool. For good hour and a half of networking, drinks, and nibbles. Now, I want to thank again our sponsors, AutoGrab, AutoHub, Auto IT, AutoSure, Better, MTF, Accelerate, AutoGrab, and the Carbon Company. So they have been fantastic in supporting us again. And it's going to be such an awesome event.
I think we'll all need to be here after that number of speakers and count. But to be fair, the information overload that's going to occur at this event, looking at those speakers, and we've heard a lot of them before at the previous event. Be prepared for an information superhighway to make its way into your head and do several laps. And that's... Yes. But that's a good thing. Yeah. I think the people that I spoke to afterwards all came away with the same impression last time. There was just suddenly so much to think about and take away. They never actually had that degree of information piled into one place at one time that was useful to then take away. So, be prepared to bring a notepad or your cell phone or whatever you need to do, because this is key stuff.
There will be notepads. There will be notepads there and pens there.
Need dictaphones too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look,
sounds good.
I think the key thing from my perspective is just that it's a discussion. Look, this is a conference, but it's deliberately not a huge conference. There's going to be about 170 people in the room, it's going to be. It's a good discussion. Feel free to. We have a question time, but feel free to chuck your hand up and ask things. It's an important day. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted by someone actually needing me to sign off that card that we were just looking at. Sometimes these streams come at the most terrible times, but you got to do them.
Okay, we'll just wrap that bit up and say we'll see everyone on Tuesday. If you haven't got your tickets already, and this is not a plug, I have no gain about saying this to you, but I can honestly tell you, as a motor vehicle trader and somebody who's interested in the industry, this stuff it's like rocket fuel. It really is. And we all need a bit of that right now in our businesses. This is the jet fuel you stick into the rocket.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's just run through the rest of the stories so that I can get some things tidied up before I get murdered by my lovely general manager, Deborah Baxter. Her, if you're listening, I am sorry that we are making so many changes because that's just me. So if I just flick over to here, run through these. So we've got the statistics this week. April sales reflect slow start to new financial year. New motor vehicle sales declined further in April, but in line with the usual trend of a softer month for the start of the financial year for many, according to the Motor Industry Association's Mark Stockdale. 9,238 registrations, which is 9.2% lower. That's just for overall. Passenger, I think, was a lot worse, 6,120 or 13.3% lower. The top brands were Toyota, Kia, and Mitsubishi. Top selling cars were Toyota RAV4, Suzuki Swift, Mitsubishi Outlander, and SUV medium was going very well. SUV compact the same, SUV large the same. If we go into what powering a lot of this stuff, the BEV sales are still crap. 48 Teslas, 48 Tesla Model Ys, 30 Model 3s, with 16 BYD Seals, 50 94s. It was a bad month. 38 Outlander PHEVs, but 1,000 hybrid RAV4s. Yes. Light commercial vehicles, what are we at? 3,000 units. 2 seconds, everyone.
Well, that's not bad. And I was going to say the RAV4 numbers would probably, to me, suggest that we're still in a situation where, because we report on registrations rather than arrivals, I mean, registrations, everything, I think Toyota is still coming to terms with arrivals now of pre-ordered stock. The lead line is a lot less than it used to be, obviously. If we think back to a couple of years ago, we were talking about delays of up to 12 months or 14, 15 months, some of these popular products. But we're still looking at stuff that was ordered well prior to its delivery date now showing. And we're reflecting on the delivery date rather than the order date. And I just have that little nagging feeling in the back of my mind, Richard, that those numbers going forward around orders are not going to get better anytime soon, because the economic data out there, and we'll be talking to Nick Tuffley on Tuesday, who'll give us a bit of a sobering update, are not, I don't think, giving confidence to the traditional consumers of new vehicles right now, whether it's fleets or it's cashed up consumers.
Yeah. Now, on the used side, the used import passenger vehicle registrations were up 10%. Despite the challenge of fewer selling days due to public holiday and school breaks, the surge in registrations of automotive used passenger vehicles by 10% in 2024, reaching 8,731 units, is a significant trend to note. Figure marks a notable increase from the 7,939 units registered in April 2023. Twitter led the imported used vehicle market with 3,392 registrations, followed by the usuals: Mazda, Nissan, Honda, Subaru, BMW, Suzuki, Mitsubishi, Volkswagen, and Lexus. The Aqua was top again, though I'm seeing some trends. The Aqua is actually slipping a little bit.
But everything is.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But everything is. I mean, these numbers, I think it's a bit misleading to say that the industry is up by 10%. That's year on year. The overall trend this year has been sliding backwards. I mean, we're still trending well below 10,000 units a month, which used to be, for our industry, if we were doing 10,000, it was a terrible month. We're now seeing 7s, 8s, thereabouts. Those are not good numbers compared to what we used to do. They're not good numbers. I'm not looking at year-on-year trends, because we need to look back and see what was happening in April 2023 to determine whether this is a real increase or not. Below 10,000, not good.
Yeah. Now, if we move on from there, electric vehicles lead auto imports. Imports of vehicles, parts, accessories fell $283 million to $730 million in March 2024 compared to the same period last year, led by a sharp decline in electric passenger cars. think that's a bit of an understatement. Passenger cars fell at 105 million, 80% to 468 million for the period, which included a $72 million decline in electric passenger cars to $38 million, according to Stats New Zealand. Total goods export rose by $240 million to $6.5 million, while goods imports fell $1.9 billion to $5.9 billion. This is all the sign of an economy which is having a really bad time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Collins takes the helm at Suzuki New Zealand following the retirement of Tom Peck. Gary Collins is the new chief executive for Suzuki New Zealand. This was his new role. Collins will remain the automobile executive general manager, a role he has held for over a decade. Simon Mead is executive general manager of motorcycle, marine, and after sales, and Liz Maddox-Strong is the general manager of finance, admin, and IT. It's an honor to be part of such an amazing team at Suzuki. I'm excited to take on the role and to continue to be a part of a brand that everyday Kiwis know and love. That has got to be quite the job, because it's a beloved brand, one, and two, you get to live and work in what do they call it? Wanganui. So you are saving a fortune.
Okay, Wanganui, here we go. Well, that's a good point. Suzuki, I've always, it's one of those brands where the audience just sort of like a little conveyor belt comes along, don't they? They buy a new Suzuki, they replace the Suzuki with a Suzuki. They're a very, very loyal customer base for that product, and it has been for decades now. So,
yeah,
well done, Suzuki.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I've lost you. Where are you?
Well, I'm still here.
No. I'd lost the screen. Right. Auto loan arrears up. Auto loan arrears reached a new high with 6.5% of accounts behind in March 2024. Demand for auto loans has meanwhile fallen off, which could be related to the introduction of EV road use charges and the clean car discounts end. Sociocentric's Credit Bureau New Zealand Managing Director Keith McLaughlin and Centric's April 2024 report. Stop blaming electric vehicles, people. The economy sucks. It's not all electric vehicles' fault.
No.
Can you really track a slowdown in vehicle loans off applications to electric vehicles, or is it just that the market sucks?
The market sucks. And we talked about this before, that one of the downsides of the EV sector in previous times has been the cashed up nature of many of its buyers and the comparatively low loan or F&I penetration of those products on the dealership floor, because their buyers are literally cashed up. Newsflash, 6.5%, by the way, that is not a statistic to be happy about. That's the one that really worries me, is it's showing immense pressure out there at the moment on households, and that figure is unlikely to improve anytime soon. What that also does, though, is it then turns the thinking of the financial institutions around a wee bit to be a little bit more gun-shy again when it comes to approving new loan applications at a time when it's already incredibly difficult to get credit for people in many cases to start with. And it's like a little never-ending hamster wheel. It gets tougher, so the loaning gets tougher, so the arrears get tougher, so the loaning gets tougher, and we're just in that little tricky cycle right now. We just need the economy to get itself some jet fuel and pick up again.
Yes. No. Exactly. Yeah. When do you think what's your trying to crystal ball? Your dealer crystal ball telling you?
Honestly, it's terrible. Actually, I think the market is super soft at the moment. Look, people are selling cars. I mean, it's not like the industry is completely collapsed, but just it has the feel of it being a lot harder, and it feels being a lot harder for a lot longer as well. I've been a motor vehicle trader, or been in the trade since 1988 when I first entered, and I don't recall a time like this for the extent of it and the timeline. We seem to be going through this extended period where there doesn't appear to be anything on the horizon to make that change anytime soon. I'll say it right now. I think the rest of 24 is going to be no better. I don't know how deeper into 25 it's going to go, but until we see real pressure coming off home lending, and we see what is now clearly a trend upwards for unemployment, and so people are starting to really reflect upon whether they need to conserve their finances in fear of their jobs, particularly in the public sector. That's had a real knockback effect, I think, for whatever reasons. Let's get into the politics of it. And all these things flow on. I'm going to say it's probably going to be early mid-25 before we see any particular lift to the spending of people in the marketplace. Economy is one thing, but then it takes a while for people to reflect upon that and start to pull the pocketbooks out as well.
Yeah. Right. Speaking about pulling the pocketbooks out, the public EV charging network has been boosted. I'm going to put too much detail because it's all on EVs and beyond, but the government has announced 25 new high-speed EV charging hubs along key routes between major urban centres and outlined the government's plans to supercharge New Zealand's EVs and infrastructure. The hubs will each have several chargers and be capable of charging at least 4 and up to 10 vehicles at once, as well as being close to amenities. So, for example, on my commute, they are now putting a heap of chargers. There's already 2 there that can charge 4 cars. They're putting a heap of chargers at the BP on Dairy Flat. So on the motorway heading out of town. Similar things are going in around the country. This is going to make our life so much easier when we do our 1,000-kilometre challenge, Graham.
It is, isn't it? And good coffee as well, even. So there we are. There's a win.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps someone should tell Simeon to trot across to Texas. And I hear there's a cheap supercharger network at the moment that you could pick up for a song. Just saying.
Oh, Elon, how we are bemused by you.
But yeah, look, this is a natural progression of what's been talked about for ages. Is the next step, which is actually just getting accessible charging around the country at all the various points where people might actually need it. And we talk about people charging at home, about how that's the holy grail, as it were, of encouraging better uptake of home charging and longer range. But I think in terms of people's range anxiety, whether they need it or not, the comfort of knowing that there is a network at every port of call is possibly more valuable than the actual usage of it.
Yeah. Now, price cuts for some BYD models. So BYD have cut some prices. Now they are saying it's because of reductions in battery manufacturing costs, all that kind of stuff. I'd say it's also down to the fact that there's just a heck of a lot of electric vehicles on the road, and Tesla has dumped prices. So BYD has confirmed significant price cuts on 2 of its models. The BYD Dolphin is now $3,000 cheaper, starting at $46,990. The BYD Edo 3 is now $4,000 cheaper, starting at $52,990. Unfortunately for you, Graham, the pricing on the Seal that you love so much has not changed.
So maybe that one doesn't have the battery getting cheaper. Who knows?
Yes.
I looked at that headline. I thought, well, let's just call it what it is, shall we? The market's in a slump. Cut prices, try and move stock. Let's not gussy about calling it what it isn't.
Yep. Just own it. Be competitive. Now, NZTA app first step towards digital driver's license. The NZ Transport Agency has released a new app as part of a first step towards a digital driver's license. In a statement on April 29, Transport Minister Simeon Brown and Digitising Government Minister Judith Collins said the app is a secure one-stop shop to provide the services drivers need. So I'm guessing that ultimately means driver's license, all that kind of stuff. The app aims to make it easier for people to pay vehicle registration and road user charges. It will also display expiry dates for cars, warrant of fitnesses, vehicle registrations, and a rack end distance. Future app updates will also allow users to easily pay tolls and view their vehicle's safety ratings. The role of the app will pave the way for the government to deliver a digital driver's license in New Zealand, Brown says. Cutting out unnecessary bureaucracy and delivering the services New Zealanders need in a convenient and timely way is a priority for this government, and the way we can do that is by delivering digital solutions. So that's an interesting one to add. Digital driver's licenses now are very common overseas. Q rent from sovereign citizen types and Marat figures.
But I can see some fish hooks there already.
I barely carry my wallet these days for actually using cards or money, so I see it as a positive. I gather you've had some
Well,
license updates in your house lately.
I did, but before I say that, I did point out that having had my phone crash on me a couple of weeks ago, my nice new fancy Galaxy S22 Note, and having lost everything as a result of the replay I had to go through to get it fixed, and I wouldn't necessarily lay all my eggs in that particular basket when it comes to digital online, because what a fucking nightmare that was.
Get an iPhone.
And you just like the Tesla fanboy club of iPhones and all that sort of good stuff. Meanwhile, in the real world, yes, I have. So exciting news from my household is that there's a twist of this tale. So my 17-year-old son, who now is not watching this, otherwise he'd be actually mortified, attained his full license yesterday. So he's gone.
Shouldn't he be at school?
No, well, we did have this conversation. School do provide and do give consent for you to have time to go and obtain your license.
I meant today I meant today. Shouldn't the reason he's not watching the stream because he's in school in class being diligent?
No, he's actually on Gateway today. He's working at his Gateway process down welding rail wagons together. But there's a twist of this tale. Okay, so we're in Auckland, and he had the ability to get his license back on April the 11th, I think it was. So you go online to enter into NZTA. Cannot find a single site in Auckland that is able to issue or do a full license test. Like, not at all. Nothing in April, nothing in May, nothing in June. And we're heading away, as you probably know, at the end of the month, and we don't have time to get it sorted out when he gets back, and he wants to do something else. So we ended up, would you believe, we had to travel yesterday to Taumarunui, 4 hours out of Auckland, to go and sit the license down there with an inspector that, with a degree of irony, travelled down from Hamilton to get the licenses. I know, right? But when we got talking to the staff down there, it turns out this little bash, it's a small little, like a little one little shop in the middle of the main street in Taumarunui. Lovely people. They have been inundated by people from all over the country coming there because it appears to be one of the few sites within the NZTA system that had capacity for license testing. And she was telling me she had so we had some people that came up from Wellington that they flew up from Wellington to Taupo and then rented a car from Taupo to come to Taumarunui to sit their license. She had somebody that had come up from Christchurch to Taumarunui to sit their license. So this is obviously a New Zealand-wide thing. And what tickled my fancy was she had two school-age girls that had come down from Auckland last week and to sit their test together. And while they were killing time, they were asking what there was to do in Taumarunui, and could she point out to them where the nearest Glassons was. And she sort of looked at her and thought, "You do know where you are, don't you?"
Hey, there might be a postie. There's usually a postie.
She did. She said, I said you could go to the postie. She said, I had the look of death, like two 17-year-olds being told to go down to postie to get their clothes rather than Glassons or Tube or whatever they go to. But evidently there's this huge issue with obtaining, and it's actually probably a point to reflect upon when the government is, and I think rightfully so, really making an effort to get our young drivers fully licensed, to get them legal on the roads, get them out of their restricted or learners or whatever and go through the process. We just don't have the facilities for them to do that. It's one thing to say, go get your license. But if we can't provide the testing regime for them to actually do that, that tells me there's something a little bit wrong with the system we currently have. Anyway, look, went to Taumarunui, he passed the flying colours. The inspector actually came into the room to tell me that Hunter's was the best test for a full license he had conducted in all his years of being an inspector, and to congratulate us on whatever training and other we'd gone through with him, which I thought was quite neat, since the person who taught him to drive was me. So that was quite neat.
There's two questions I have from all this so far.
Yeah.
How do they get insurance to do their driver's license test in a rental car?
Did you tell the rental car company is one question you should be asking that, Richard?
and two, and similar subject, does this mean that he now gets to drive the rental car on your US trip?
No, because the rental car on the US trip, we did cover this one too. That was also a question asked. I think the minimum age in the US it's usually 25, and you get an extension down to 23. Below 23, no, your tail lights.
Oh.
So he's still not going to be driving across the sunny skies of Oklahoma or northern Montana in a rental SUV. I'm afraid not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's fully licensed. Well done.
We have a similar story in how we would a different story, but an analogous story at the moment and within our family, within the Auto Media Group family, and my actual family. So my sister is our general manager, Deborah. Sorry again for the delay and the changes, Deborah. I do apologize. Sorry, she knows. Her daughter is getting her restricted license at the moment, and her car, the only car they have in the house, is a company car. It's an electric MG ZS EV owned by Auto Media Group. And of course, we are in the world of EV ruck now. But as we've discussed on the show before, if they're giving a grace period until May 31, I will damn well take every single kilometer I can draw out of that grace period.
I see where this is going.
But of course, you need a fully warranted and registered car to do to do your driver's license test. So what does that mean for electric vehicles during that grace period? Now, as far as I'm concerned, that car is fully legal, fully within the law, and I see no issue with that test being done in that car as it stands. However, of course, if you turn up at a licensing office and you get a prickly prick of a tester on the day, and he's like, I will not acknowledge such grace period, what do you do then? So we are going to have to buy road user charges for one and only one of our vehicles prior to that date. Now, to be clear, I am not the only person pushing this grace period. I have two electric vehicles from car companies at the moment on test, one a long-termer, one a short-termer. Neither of them have a road user charges label on it. And I am pretty unsure they will not get one until May 31. Because why would you if you don't need to?
Yeah. I know. We talked about this before, that whole 2-month thing. But the legality of it. And you know what? The inspector in Taramanawi did indeed. We took down the mighty Toyota Progress that Hunter had fully groomed and detailed prior to. We did a lights and in bits and pieces check before we left home just to make sure we were going to drive 4 hours and be turned back. But they did. He did a walk around of the car, made Hunter and everyone sitting up us check the indicators, the lights, the brake lights, the horn, all that sort of stuff. So they do actually check that, I assume, as part of the test process. So yeah, you might just get that one person that knows and turn you back, and then we try and get
they would be wrong, but sometimes it's too hard to argue, even if you are right at the last minute. So
don't be that guy.
But I don't blame myself, and I don't blame those car companies with those press cars for pushing the date on this to the limit, because I'm sure as heck sure your Tiguan probably got a few extra road user charges loaded on when there was the discount period, even though technically that's...
Oh, it's getting hot in here, Richard. Oof.
Yeah. Every time you're like a bit funny on me pushing the grace period, I'm going to say that. Anyway, let's quickly run through a last.
Thank you, previous government.
Let's quickly run through. That was Graham McDonald there, thanking the Labour Party of New Zealand.
Got my extra credits there. Yep. It'll happen. Right, move on.
Well, let's not forget that if the polls go by, they may be the next government in New Zealand as well. Anyway.
Okay. All right, move on.
Yeah. In a world where Julianne Genter is up on assault charges and Winston Peters gets taken down for defamation. Yeah. God, I love politics in New Zealand. Freaking hilarious. Anyway.
Oh, we could be in Australia. It could be worse. Anyway.
Yes. Now, Caban takes the helm of MG's Global Design Center. MG Motor has appointed automotive designer Joseph Caban to the role of Vice President of MG Global Design Center. Brings a wealth of experience from his time with several European and English brands. This is typical of the Chinese companies. They grab people who have a lot of experience. He has developed some very, very impressive cars. I can't remember which ones. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Bugatti Veyron. So this is the guy who designed the Bugatti Veyron. He's now designing MGs. Crazy.
They
Crazy,
must have
crazy,
paid a
crazy.
lot of.
That is the kind of money. That is the kind of money they can throw around. The Koreans did the same as well. It's a good move. DPL Insurance appoints Gronwald as new commercial manager. DPL Insurance has appointed Mika Gronwald as its new commercial manager to oversee the product offering and lead the customer support and underwriting teams. Her career started in South Africa, 20 years in insurance. She's been an independent advisor and a certified financial planner. She's been with OnePath or ING OnePath in New Zealand. So some great talent there to bring into DPL, which of course is part of the Turner's Automotive Group. FSF gives feedback on banking services market study. The FSF says the non-bank lending sector can be empowered to provide more competition and give Kiwi consumers more choice. It was highlighted in its submission on the Consumer Commission's draft report on its market study into personal banking services. More than 1.7 million consumers choose to work with a non-bank lender represented by the FSF, whose 97 members include the likes of UDC Finance, Avani Finance, Soda Finance, Harmony, MTF, and several credit unions and building societies. Lynn McMorrin says the draft report points out how the 4 major trading banks have the lion's share of the personal banking market in New Zealand by an enormous margin. Very difficult for smaller players to compete with them. Without sufficient competition and disruption in banking services, New Zealand runs the risk of consumers missing out. Now, what do they mean by this? Well, I don't entirely know exactly what her idea is, but I do know in other markets where I lived, and I think in the past in New Zealand, say for example, you go in for a car loan, your car loan is supported through one of the smaller banks, say for example, Southland Building Society or some of these other companies. Well, who's to say that when you get your car loan, they don't give you a brochure about perhaps considering the banking services of the Southland Building Society, or maybe you want a Southland Building Society credit card, or a Heartland Bank credit card, or a Heartland Bank savings facility, or various other items like that. And giving you more options and just helping perhaps some of those other facilities come through. I don't entirely know. That's my thoughts around it. So that is what they are looking at there. Good to see more options coming through. That is it for today. Sorry, it's been a bit of a choppy, distracted one. Difficult, but some of these times these things happen. AutoTalk.co.nz live. That's when you get your tickets to the show on Tuesday. We have technically sold out, but what we have is some flexibility to add some more seats, add some more tables, that kind of thing. So if you're interested in doing that, then please do go on that, or email me, rich@automediagroup.co.nz, and I can hook you up as well. It's going to be a great day, if for nothing else, just the socialization, the networking, the discussion, and the contacts made. Really looking forward to it. Graham, you're going to hang around for a beer at the end?
You bet. God only knows we need a bit of a lift right now on the industry. It'll be good. It really will. Yeah,
maybe don't drive. Take the train. It's only a good 10-minute walk from the train station.
I plan to. That was actually the plan. And again, Julianne, if you're listening, I will take the train.
She would be listening from home because she's in trouble and she's working from home.
Yes. I don't envy Chloe's job on that one.
Yeah. Julianne Genter is passionate, and she is, to me, I honestly believe, one of the smarter, more clued in transport-related government members. So I'm going to give her a pass on this one.
Right you are, Richard. Right you are.
Okay,
well,
catch everyone next week.
Sun is shining in West Auckland. We've got to get going and sell some cars out here.
Pissing down with the rain here. Anyway, catch you later.